Last event I overheated the transmission, which prevented me from going to second gear until it cools down. That one day ended up turning into weeks of work. I put the transmission, rebuilt the valve body with a TransGo shift kit, performed the accumulator coin mod, installed a Kein transmission mount, switched to Red Line D4 ATF, installed a manual override, and improved the airflow to the transmission coolant. Now it was finally time to see if all that work actually paid off. But before we even made it to Hallett, things almost went wrong again. The night before Cruis'n Oklahoma event, I stayed up late finishing the car and doing one last test run. At first everything seemed fine, then I noticed ATF leaking from the transmission pan. Looking back, I think it was probably a combination of a few things. We had to pry the transmission pan off during disassembly, so it probably wasn't perfectly flat anymore. I also may not have used enough RTV in a few spots. And I definitely didn't let the RTV cure long enough before filling the transmission fluid because I was running out of time. At this point it was already late, so I cleaned everything up and hoped it would seal overnight. After 3 hours of sleep, the next morning it was still leaking. Pretty badly. Meanwhile, Austin, Vin, and Shane were already on their way to Hallett. Driving 2 hours to the track with a transmission leak, spending an entire day on the track, and then driving 2 hours home didn't seem like a smart idea. Luckily, I remembered the transmission filter kit came with a rubber pan gasket. Unlike RTV, it doesn't need time to cure. So I pulled the pan back off, resealed everything, filled it back up, and headed to Hallett by myself. I barely made it. As soon as I parked, the driver's meeting had already started. This was another Cruis'n Oklahoma event at Hallett Motor Racing Circuit. For this event, it was me, Austin in the K24 Integra, Vin in the K24 Civic, and Shang in his GR86. Austin had been fighting brake issues for the last couple of track days, so he was hoping to finally get through an event without any problems. Vin had just gotten his K24 Civic tuned and was putting down about 231 wheel horsepower, so I knew he'd be tough to keep up with. Shang had switched to a new wheel and tire setup, but the tires turned out to have quite a bit less grip than he expected, so he was still trying to figure the car out. As for me, my focus was simple. After overheating the transmission at the last event, I wanted to see if all the work I've done actually fixed the problem, and hopefully beat my previous personal best of 135.5.
The Lexus? The big one?
For the first few laps, I wasn't thinking about lap times. I was watching temperatures, listening for anything unusual, feeling every shift. After all the work, I just wanted to know if the transmission was finally fixed. Thankfully, everything felt normal, no slipping, no strange behavior, no leaks. At that point, I finally started trusting the car again. One of the questions I've gotten the most is whether the TransGo shift kit and accumulator coin mod actually made a noticeable difference. So here's some pulls before and after the shift kit. So I went back and compared some slow-mo footage from before and after the rebuild. Before the rebuild, there was a delay in acceleration during each shift. After the rebuild, the car started pulling again much sooner. I can't say this entirely because of the valve bodywork. There are always other variables. These clips weren't filmed in the exact same location, I'm running different diameter wheels, and there are plenty of other factors that could affect the comparison. But it does line up with what these upgrades are designed to improve. And from the driver's seat, the transmission definitely felt more responsive and more consistent throughout the day. If any of you guys have done this mod before, I'm curious what you guys think. Do you notice the same thing? Let me know in the comments. Once I was confident the transmission was doing its job, it was finally time to stop worrying about the car and just enjoy the day. We usually had Austin lead our little group. Since he was a little bit slower than Vin and me, it naturally kept everyone close together. It also gave us someone to chase instead of everyone immediately spreading out around the track. Honestly, some of my favorite laps weren't even my fastest ones. They were the sessions where all three of us stayed close together, pushing each other lap after lap. One thing we always do after every session is compare our fastest lap times. It's fun seeing everyone's progress, and whenever someone sets a new personal best, we all celebrate it. But between Vin and me, there's always a little friendly rivalry. Our lap times are usually really close, so every track day turns into an unofficial competition to see who can put together the fastest lap. During the first session, after I have made sure everything is alright with the car, I was actually able to beat my personal best already with a 135.2. In the second session, I was already able to get my fastest lap ever. finishing with a 134.5. For sessions 3 and 4, I was able to give my nephew and my sister their first ride along at Hallett. The last couple laps, I was able to follow Shay. He had just switched to a different wheel and tire setup, and the car wasn't giving him the confidence he was used to. You could tell he was still learning how much grip he actually had, especially through some of Hallett's fast corners. It was just interesting watching him from behind because you could actually see how much the change in grip affected his driving. By the end of the day, Vin had managed a 133 without a passenger. My best lap was 134.5 with a passenger in the car. The transmission survived the entire event without overheating, slipping, or giving any problem. For all that work that went into the project, I'd call it a success. About a week after the track day, I started noticing the car wasn't running quite right during cold starts. At first I wasn't sure what it was, but after spending some time diagnosing it, I finally confirmed that the head gasket had failed. Honestly, after everything that just happened, it was frustrating. We had just finished rebuilding the transmission, fixed the overheating problem, and finally broke into the 134s. Then, just like that, the engine became the next problem. My first thought wasn't to repair this engine. It was finally time to pull the non-VVTi engine out of my 1993 GS300 and use that as the next foundation for this build. If I already had to pull the engine apart, it seemed like the perfect opportunity to move the project forward. And with the clock ticking, we had to make a decision that completely changed the direction of this project. I'll explain why in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope these videos have been helpful or at least entertaining to follow along. If you enjoyed this one, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to us on our other social media platforms. I'll see you guys in the next one.